Plenty more juicy details from the Warhammer Imperium release today. It comes out in the UK next week. We've got a breakdown for the first 10 issues of the magazine, and a few more nice new pictures of the unique Primaris captain. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, the strategy focused 40k channel, where today we're back to talking about Imperium magazine, basically the updated version of Warhammer Conquest, where you have a weekly magazine accompanied by paints, miniatures, and various other bits. As we get closer to the launch date, more and more details are emerging, and I was quite interested to see a breakdown of the first 10 issues of the magazine. So I have covered Warhammer Imperium a couple of times on the channel already. I'll leave a link down to my overall review in the video description, where we go over just what you get out of the entire subscription, the sort of savings that you might get, and some thoughts on the premium issues. For those who haven't been following the story though, it's basically a weekly magazine, £9, $12 or €11, and it's made by a company called Hachette Partworks. These are the ones who produced the Warhammer Conquest magazine for 8th edition that was largely Space Marines against Death Guard. In the UK, the first magazine will drop on the 25th of August, the one for the Primaris Lieutenant and the Necron Royal Warden at a really cheap price, and then it should be weekly from then. You can already sign up on the Hachette Partworks website if you do want to get some models each week. It really does seem to be aimed at getting someone who's never played 40k before up into having an entire army in quite small digestible chunks, rather than overwhelming you by giving you tons and tons of miniatures all at once. We did know that this was coming to the USA and likely to other parts of the world, but we didn't actually have any sort of official release date yet, but that is now apparently going to be the 26th of January 2022. It was heavily implied by Warhammer Community's article that it will be coming to other places as well. I strongly suspect the same places that Warhammer Conquest was sold, such as many other countries throughout Europe and Australia. Over the subscription, the aim is to build up a big force of Space Marines and Necrons. You also get some Sisters and Admech included on the Imperium side, and a fairly decent amount of terrain as well. If you were to try and buy all of this individually from Games Workshop themselves, you would save almost 50% on the retail value of these, plus a whole load of paints and accessories and things, so as gateways to the hobby go, it's really not all that bad. As someone with an established collection, I wouldn't really be looking to pick up the whole thing though. I'd be more interested in picking up individual issues if they happen to give really good deals on certain models I wanted. I'm sure that the individual issues will sell out fairly quickly, but you can apparently either pick them up from Hachette's website or from any shops or newsagents that are ordering it in. Again, for a full breakdown of the contents, please check out my full review video down in the description. One thing that Games Workshop did show off was the unique Primaris captain that comes with the set. We now know that he's confirmed to be appearing in issue 5 of the magazine, so really quite near to the start. A new sculpt that hasn't been available anywhere else yet, but in general he isn't too groundbreaking as a miniature really. Just an alternative sculpt for a Space Marine captain with a power sword and plasma pistol. Maybe got in a bit of an interesting pose compared with some of the other miniatures. He does appear to be looking at something above him, maybe trying to fend off a blow from something much bigger than himself, or just brandishing that sword above his head. I guess it's good to have different options if you want different poses on your captains. As he's going to be £9 or $12, that's really not too bad for a Primaris character miniature. Usually Games Workshop tend to sell them for at least twice that, so if there is any way that you could get your hands on this issue, it might not be the worst idea ever. I'm not sure if in-game he's really going to be the most competitive choice ever. For me, if I was loading out a Primaris captain, I'd kind of want the Indomitus gear at the moment, the one with the master-crafted power sword and storm shield. I just feel that for the points cost that gives him really quite a good balance of survivability and damage output, and that is most certainly currently the loadout for me. Still though, quite a cool miniature if you like the sculpt, and definitely a draw to get in the subscription. If it's anything like the last Imperium magazine, I believe that people were selling the unique Lieutenant online for several times the amount that he cost. I guess that's one of the issues when you only release a miniature in one part of the world, but arbitrarily don't release it in other parts until far later. Finally, we've got an issue breakdown from 1 to 10. I think this has been posted in various different places now. I had a look at the Fohammer website, who really seem to go all in on tracking the Warhammer Imperium release, and I'll leave a link down to their website in the video description as well. From the art on the Imperium website itself, we already knew issues 1 to 4, but now we know all the way up to issue 10 as well. When taken as a whole, they're really not too bad, but I've underlined the ones that I think are maybe the absolute top picks out of the bunch. Issue 1, we have the Primaris Lieutenant and Royal Warden, £3 or $5, miniatures that are really quite easy to obtain anyway in the starter sets, but still getting 2 character miniatures for just £3 or $5 is crazy, when Games Workshop is typically known to sell just 1 character miniature for 6 times this price. Really doesn't seem like a bad deal. You could even just use the Primaris Lieutenant as an extra blade guard or something, and it could still be argued that you've come out ahead. Issue 2's not bad either, 3 Necron Warriors and a paintbrush. Again, the Necron Warriors are really easy to obtain in the starter sets. For me, I'd actually be more interested in the Citadel paintbrush of the two. To pick up one of those for £6 alongside some miniatures isn't the worst. Issue 3's a bit less overwhelming, 3 Assault Intercessors and a pot of blue paint. That one's not really much saving compared with the starter sets, so I personally wouldn't be that bothered. But issue 4 is far more interesting, 3 Scorpet Destroyers and a Plasmacide, and a Lead Belcher pot of paint. Again, Scorpet Destroyers might be something that Necron players have in abundance, but it is a kit that Games Workshop sells for something like £35. To get them for just 9 plus a Lead Belcher paint could be worse. Certainly a way to get a fair few more crons on the board for very, very cheap. Number 5 is the unique Primaris Captain, as we mentioned. £9 or $12 for him seems pretty reasonable. And then maybe one of my favourites out of any of the issues is issue 6, 3 Flamestorm Aggressors and a pot of black paint. You can't buy these easy build aggressors anymore, they were sadly taken off sale. They don't make the Boltstorm variant, it is just the Flamer one, but again, just like the Scorpex, if you do want to buy aggressors these days, they would usually cost you £30 alone, and to get them for 9 plus a pot of black paint seems really quite nice to me. Again, they could just be a fun extra option to paint up for your Space Marine army, and maybe could experiment with them in some games, even if I admit they're not usually going to be optimal unless you're playing Salamanders. Then we have the last 4 issues, which I don't think are quite as overwhelming. Issue 7 is just paints, gold, white and grey. A bit of a dud really, as I believe that you could buy them for cheaper. Then we have the Necron Overlord. Again, not too bad if you did want to pick one up. It's the one with the big scythe. And then in issues 9 and 10, we have 2 sets of 5 Necron Warriors. Again, not awful, but not particularly overwhelming compared with getting the Recruit starter set, where you can pick up 10 Necron Warriors for fairly cheap, alongside a whole bunch of other miniatures. Overall, if you are a Space Marine player, I'd be interested in issues 1, 5 and 6, and if I was a Necron player, I'd be most looking at those Scorpet Destroyers, maybe the Necron Overlord and the Royal Warden. In any case, I think it's certainly something that's worth keeping an eye on. I'm sure some people will be looking to just get the whole thing and have some fun miniatures turn up each week, but I certainly feel that you could get some really good deals just by jumping on the best issues if you can get them when they drop. Let me know your thoughts though down in the comments. I look forward to hearing what your thoughts are on the release. If you've enjoyed the video and would like to keep up with Games Workshop's releases, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, where I'll certainly keep the 40k related videos, with new content out just about every day. Finally, if you have been enjoying the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention the Auspex Tactics Patreon page, which you can find down in the video description below, and it is what allows me to keep on making so many videos quite so often. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways, with a chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, then the link is down in the video description below. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.